World economy. Welcome to this new class at Wave School. As we've seen so far, money as well as its policies can become a true science, and surely you're thinking, what does all this have to do with cryptocurrencies? The answer is very simple. If you really want to get to know cryptocurrencies in depth, you must know in depth the problem they want to solve. In 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto introduced Bitcoin to the world as a solution to the problems of the traditional financial system. We've all had problems when we've gone to the bank, right? Waiting times to carry out any procedure, limited office hours, and other problems disappear with the arrival of cryptocurrencies. These and other problems are difficulties that we can see all over the world, where banks control the world economy. To understand how the world economy works, we're going to learn what GDP is and how it helps us analyze the financial health of a country. What is GDP? GDP, also known as Gross Domestic Product, is the indicator that par excellence allows us to know the state of a country's economy. And because? What is it about GDP that makes it so special? This indicator represents the value of the goods and services produced by an economy or country in a specific period, generally 1 year. What do we mean by goods and services? We refer to objects, merchandise, or economic activities carried out by people in exchange for remuneration. For example, if we have a cafeteria and we offer our services, both food and delivery, we'll have to obtain financial remuneration for it. However, what do we measure with GDP? GDP is used to measure the wealth that a country generates. The idea behind this indicator is to add up all the goods and services produced by a country, such as taxi services, doctors, etc. The result of all that sum will measure the size of the country's economy in terms of economic wealth. That is, the higher the GDP of a country, the greater its economic capacity. Let's see it with an example. The first economic power in the world, the United States, has a GDP of almost $20,000 billion, while other countries such as Spain is $1,200 billion. As we can see, the difference is very big if we compare both economies, right? If we compare it with more countries like France, $2,500 billion, United Arab Emirates, $300 billion, or Russia, $1,300 billion, we see how there is a big difference between the economies of the world. At this point, we're going to know one of the words that you have surely heard in the news: inflation. Many refer to inflation as a silent thief that robs us of the entire population without our realizing it. Do you know why? Inflation is the general increase in the prices of goods and services in an economy over a period. This occurs due to the increase in the amount of money in circulation. That is, more money in circulation has as a consequence the devaluation of the currency, and with it, the rise in prices. What conclusion can we draw from this then? Let's imagine the price of apples is 2 euros per kilo. A person with 100 euros can buy 50 kilos of apples. Now suppose that the price of a kilo of apples is 4 euros per kilo. This person with 100 euros can buy 25 kilos. This rise in prices is known as inflation. Due to the loss of value of money because of the printing of new banknotes, we'll need more and more money to buy the same number of apples. Today we'll analyze how inflation impacts the world's economy, and we'll learn about a new indicator, the CPI. By now you should know what inflation is, but do you know what consequences it has on the economy? Let's use an example. If you asked your parents about how situations like buying a house or getting a coffee have changed, they would probably tell you that they are more expensive today than in the past. With the passing of time, prices have been rising constantly. Even if prices in an economy rise, wages should also rise in line with these price increases in order to maintain stable purchasing power. However, do wages always go hand in hand with inflation? At this point, you can ask yourself, how much has your salary changed over the years? Now you may understand why it is often said that inflation is a silent process that steals from us constantly, and that affects our savings. What does it mean that it affects our savings? Faced with a price increase, people will prefer to consume now rather than later, because then prices will be more expensive. In this way, they'll avoid losing the value of their savings with the devaluation of the currency. If the rise in wages is not at least equal to the rise in prices, purchasing power will fall. We might rejoice if our salary is raised by 10% in 1 year, but if inflation has been 20%, we can actually buy 10% less with that salary. What will happen to people's savings? As you can imagine, savings will decrease as a result of inflation. People will be motivated to consume and spend the money rather than save it, because if the money is going to be worth less in the future, people will prefer to spend it now. Given the difficulty of calculating the change in all prices in an economy, let's look at the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, or also known as CPI. It is composed of groups of goods and services such as food, clothing, medicine, or transportation. This index reflects the expenses that an average family makes to be able to afford daily purchases. In other words, the minimum budget that a family needs to have in order to afford everyday costs. This provides a way to regularly measure the prices of a country, allowing to do a comparison between different time periods. If this index rises 3% over 3 months, we can therefore say that we have an inflation rate of 3%. So how can we protect ourselves from this loss of value? Using cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Waves, many people around the world are choosing to store their savings in digital assets, because unlike traditional money, they are increasing in value as time goes by. In the next class, you'll have the opportunity to look at this and many other advantages that cryptocurrencies have to offer for our daily problems. That's all for today. I hope you liked this class and see you in the next one.